Our next honor is the Pinnacle Award, and I have the honor of giving this honor. The Pinnacle Award this year is going to Edna Conway. Oh, let's see if I can do this correctly. Here we go. So the Pinnacle Award is awarded to an individual whose career has led them to the highest levels of the cybersecurity sector and whose contributions to the nation include a legacy of frameworks, guidance, publications, or other artifacts that will strengthen public and private critical infrastructures for generations to come. Edna Conway, who's currently the CEO of EMC Advisors, provides board and advisory services to enterprises and governments globally on technology, security, risk management, and supply chain resilience. She served as a chief security and risk officer for Microsoft's cloud infrastructure. Prior to Microsoft, Edna was a chief security officer of Cisco's global value chain. Edna is recognized domestically through presidential commissions and globally in NATO, was appointed to the executive committee of the U.S. DHS Task Force on ICT Supply Chain Risk Management, and serves on the DHS Critical Manufacturing Sector Coordinating Council Executive Committee. Her leadership acknowledgement includes membership in the Fortune's Most Powerful Women community, 2021 Executive Women's Forum Executive of the Year, 2021 ISSA Hall of Fame inductee, 2021 Top Cybersecurity Leaders in Security Magazine, 2022 CSO 50 Award winner, 2023 Top 25 Women in Technology for Mission Critical, and now ICIT. Conway is recognized as a developer of architectures delivering value chain security, sustainability, and resiliency around the world. She was appointed to the executive committee. I believe this is redundant, I'm sorry, but we'll say it again. She was appointed to the executive committee of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security Task Force on ICT Supply Chain Risk Management, and her insights are featured in a range of publications, analyst reports, and case studies, including Forbes, Fortune, Bloomberg, CIO Magazine, and the Wall Street Journal. I met Edna many, many years ago. She was at Cisco at the time. And when I should preface this by saying, and I forgot to read this before, I apologize. The way that our awards are given is that we ask our fellows to nominate individuals, and then we review those nominations, we submit some finalists back to the fellows, they vote, and we get it. I usually don't like to give awards because I tend to know the folks who are getting them, and I don't want it to seem like it's biased. It is not. But I will say in this case, I was very excited that Edna got it, because when I talk about community, Edna, many, many years ago, when I first met her, was one of those people that I would very quickly felt comfortable talking to her, getting advice from her. And she was one of those folks where, you know, from my vantage point, I mean, she ran global value chain security for one of the largest companies in the world. The fact that she would give me all this time, all the time, was remarkable and extremely helpful to me. But more than the time, it was just the belief that she had. And actually, I think it was at RSA this year, we were chatting about something, and I said something to the effect of, "I can't believe this is happening." She's like, "Oh, I knew it would. Why do you think I spent all that time with you for the last 10 years? And I know I'm not alone. I know Edna does this with many people. She's very generous with her time. And I know that I'm one of many who've benefited from her leadership. So I'm very pleased and honored to welcome Edna Conway to the stage to receive the Pinnacle Award.
Well, good evening. I think that the first thing I must tell you is I did not send them a bio. So I don't know if ChatGPT wrote that one or not, but I had nothing to do with it. Secondly, I think it's really imperative to thank ICIT and the ICIT fellows and tell you that I deeply appreciate the honor, but I must admit, when Parm called me, I thought about it. I said, thank you. And then I called him a couple of days ago and I said, hey, Parm, I went back and looked at all the people who received this award, and they all served in government positions. Are you really sure you got this right? So I stand before you as somebody who has spent their entire career in the private sector, and I think that's increasingly important, and it led me to think about what I wanted to talk about tonight, which is something that I call impactful partnership. And I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about us as humans first. So, and Parm, time me, I'm going to come in on under 5 minutes, by the way. We're really inspiring, we humans, and often frightening. But quite frankly, we have an innate drive to partner and collaborate. It's in all of us, and some of us, me included, so sono Edna Maria Cristina Pezzoni, I married the Conway. We have this compulsion to hug effusively, often taking our huggies by surprise. So, you know, if you see me later, get ready. I'd like to propose to you that we need to exponentially expand our partnering across geographies, languages, cultures, generations, and more. And why? Because supporting, enhancing, and protecting our critical infrastructure in a digitized world, it demands effective and impactful partnership. Not just any partnership, but impactful partnership. And so I want to take a step back for a minute and tell you for years something that I've been saying. You know, I say publicly, we live in a world of we. So anybody you meet who's thinking about us and them, try to help them out, because that's not the world we live in anymore. And before you conclude that I'm going to sit up here and talk to you more about, you know, another verse of Kumbaya, let me try to tell you a little bit about the trying to think of the nice way to say this. The iron fist that's inside the, I am wearing velvet. Velvet, it's not a glove, but it's velvet. So, you know, I have the privilege of teaching at grammar schools, because I think you got to get them young before the hormones kick in, and start teaching them about cyber. And high schools and some, not only universities, but some executive education programs that are fantastic out there. I talked to them a little bit about what it is that security means to me and give them an example. So I say security like life, it really has to be driven holistically. And I met someone who, this evening, and I'm sure you're somewhere, and it was a couple, and the gentleman shared with me that he had been in physical security, and I said, oh, good Lord, we need to be talking about physical security, operational, logical security, behavioral security, and information security. Yep, before the marketing team got a hold of it and started calling it cyber. 35 years ago, there was some dude, usually, sitting in a room in IT who said, I do InfoSec. And then it became cyber. Isn't that cool? Well, and they look at me and they go, yeah, that still sounds like Kumbaya, Edna, right? We all have to get together. And I'm like, all right, let me give you an example of what I mean. At my home, if you attempt to enter without invitation, you will encounter a locked door. There's some physical security. You will then encounter a digital alarm system. There's a little bit of information security there, maybe a little digital going on. And that connects to a host of first responders, human beings, and a network of my private protectors. And then there's the final layer. And the layer, that additional layer is the layer known as Edna, who is usually standing at the top of the stairs, because I always want to have the high ground with a weapon of my choice. So, you know, I forgot to mention that I hail from the live free or die state. That would be New Hampshire, in case you didn't know. Impactful partnership is not Kumbaya. It is a path beyond survival to thriving. And as we look through cybersecurity lenses and risk lenses, I want to tell you that I think the imperative to protect from detect, and mitigate security and safety risks, and continuously deliver the essential services our infrastructure affords our citizens in daily life can only be achieved through this impactful partnership that has two key elements. One, trust, and the second one, diversity of thought. And so I've had the privilege of, this was sort of scary, because I think if you put all this together, you're going to figure out I'm probably one of the oldest people in the room. But I've had the privilege to work and partner with colleagues in 34 countries, and I have learned from and continue to learn from over 7 generations, from the greatest generation to Generation Alpha, and they are all equally remarkable. Let's not forget that. I myself am from the generation we refer to as the boomers, and I will tell you after a glass of wine or two, I have been known to ponder why it is that we are called the boomers and what it is that we did that was significant other than come into being at a time of prolific reproduction. But this is sort of our contribution, I guess. You know, when we sit here tonight, I want to leave you with 3 things. I propose we embrace, employ, and leverage diversity of thought in a very specific way, with wild abandon, And that means all of us. My contribution to that tonight is my +1 is not my sainted spouse, but it's actually a 2023 graduate of the Citadel who actually has a degree in intelligence, specializing in cybersecurity, as well as counterterrorism, and he's looking for a job. I offer my deep gratitude to each and every of those of you who have served and continue to serve our nation, states, and communities. And I'll leave you with this one last question, because I retired 14 weeks ago from an operating executive role, and now I want to know, how may I be of service to you? Thank you.